Jackson swings, hits it in the air, deep to right field. He has done it again. Unbelievable.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt.
Ultimately, what we're here to do is win.
From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the Atlanta Braves in the second game of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today on the mound for the Braves, right-hander Grant Holmes, and for the Padres, right-hander Michael King. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up in Atlanta at 1:10 p.m. here on the West Coast. Hope everybody's enjoying this Memorial Day weekend. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll also hear from Padres DH Gavin Sheets, who continues to play extremely well. We'll hear from Padres president of baseball operations and general manager AJ Preller. And in just a little bit, we check in with Tony Gwyn Jr. But first, it's time to set the table. Brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971, with 3 locations, La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres entered today 28-21. They snapped a 6-game losing skid last night. Even with this rough stretch before last night, the Padres entered today just 3 games out of first place in the National League West and holding an NL wildcard spot. Yes, it's early, but just a little perspective for you. Braves are 24-26 coming in. Atlanta started the season with 7 straight losses. And by the way, they've lost now 3 in a row after yesterday. They lost those 7 straight games to begin the year. That included getting swept by the Padres in a 4-game series to begin the season. However, since beginning 5-13, the Braves are now 19-13 in their last 32 games. Well, yesterday we had a marquee pitching matchup in Atlanta, and it was as advertised. Let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
It was Chris Sale against Nick Pivetta. Sale pitched the scoreless top of the first inning. In the bottom half, Ronald Acuna Jr. took his first at-bat of the season, and since last May, after dealing with the second ACL tear of his career, the 2023 National League MVP dug in.
Is at bat for the Atlanta Braves. First pitch swinging unbelievable. Deep to left center, a home run. And what a moment here at Truist Park. Acuna put his hands on the side of his batting helmet as he ran to first base as if he could not believe it. But he'd better, because that's one of the hardest hit balls we've seen all year. An absolute no doubter to give Atlanta a 1-0 lead, 467 feet to left center field.
But the Padres responded in the second, courtesy of Gavin Sheets.
2-1. Sale delivers, and Sheets sends it in the air, straightaway center and deep. Harris is back now towards left center on the move, and it's going to go. Another home run for Gavin Sheets. This time the other way, and another game-tying shot. This one makes it 1-1 in the second.
Lefty on left, 97 inner half.
From that point, both starting pitchers really settled in. Pivetta went 6, Sale went 7. We still had a 1-1 game going to the 9th inning. Braves closer Raisel Iglesias came in. Manny Machado led off.
2-2. Manny swings, hits it in the air, deep to left field. Verdugo's back to watch this one. Gonna go into the second deck above the bullpen in left. And Manny Machado's first career hit against Iglesias is a 9th inning go-ahead homer. It's 2-1.
Manny's 4th home run of the season, his first since May 3rd. Robert Suarez came in for the save opportunity in the bottom half. The Braves had a runner on second base.
Here's the 2-2. Albee swings, hits it on a line into center field. That's down in front of Merrill. They will hold White at third, who's running back towards second. They'll throw and tag him out. The ball was not caught in center field, but White, who was being held up by the third base coach, not only slammed on the brakes, but started heading back towards second.
Bad base running. And then Robert Suarez put on the finishing touch.
Harris swings, hits it on the ground up the middle. It'll be fielded by Bogarts, goes the short way, in time to force Albies and end the game. A wild ninth at Truist Park in Atlanta. Manny Machado, a go-ahead homer in the top half, and then some unbelievably bad base running by the Braves in the bottom half as the Padres end their 6-game losing streak with a 2-1 win here in Atlanta.
And now the Padres trying to make it 2 wins in a row at Truist Park today in Atlanta. As we get ready for first pitch coming up at 1:10, let's check in with Tony Gwyn Jr.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a dive on today's matchup with Tony Gwyn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Tony, let's start by revisiting that play in the 9th inning yesterday with Eli White. Obviously, there was confusion on his part. For some reason, he decided to go back to second base. Can you walk us through what at least the correct mindset has to be for a base runner when there's a ball hit behind you, you're heading to third, and your relationship with the third base coach in that moment?
Well, it's complex to say what it should be because I don't know that he didn't. I think Eli White had the right mindset off the bat, but what happens is in real time at second base, you take your secondary, and that ball's hit hard. There are balls that are hit hard enough that have that same height that hang up and are able to be caught. So my guess, and I told Jesse this after the game, I think my thought was he took his secondary, and when the ball is hit, in his mind, he wasn't 100% sure that ball was going to fall, but he took off anyway with that kind of mindset. And so when he picks up the third base coach, who, mind you, is down the line, typically if a third base coach wants you to stay on the bag at third base, he's near the bag. He's got one hand pointing to it, one hand up. But I think because of that initial doubt in White's mind, when he picked him up and saw two hands up telling him to stop, I think in his mind he thought, oh, man, maybe that ball didn't actually fall.
Right.
I got to get back to the base. And I think that's kind of what happened. Technically, if he doesn't have that doubt, I don't think he goes back. I think he stops at third base. But because he had that doubt in his mind, he saw that and he just bought in completely to what that doubt was in his mind earlier.
Well, certainly the Padres will take it. They needed a win yesterday, and Eli White helped them. So you'll take it to snap a 6-game losing skid. Gavin Sheets, Tony, continues to be just a tremendous story for the Padres this season. You've seen every at-bat that he's taken going back to spring training when he was hitting home run after home run, and that momentum is certainly carried over into the first third of this regular season. He's been quite the story. Tony, to you, what has been the key for Gavin Sheets, what he continues to do?
I think it starts with confidence. I think he recognized that going into that last offseason that there were some things he wanted to work on. He talked about it in spring training, getting back to some of the basics. And talking to him yesterday on Gwynn and Chris, one of the things he mentioned was that, you know, he had always had a harder time hitting the ball down. And ironically, the change he made was standing taller and being in his mind a little more athletic. And that's freed him up to get to the ball down. The 2 homers he hit in Toronto were pitches down. Yesterday was just, you know, him being extremely strong on a ball inner third, and he hits it out to center, more center than left, but left center. And I just think his confidence is high. And when a big leaguer's confidence is high and he already has the tools, you can get play like this.
Yeah, and he's got tremendous power to all fields. It really is impressive. It feels like the Padres have really found something in a guy that could be around for a while. In Gavin Sheets, he's been terrific. Michael King on the mound today for the Padres. Grant Holmes on the mound for the Braves. We'll talk a little bit more about that pitching matchup later. Let's focus, Tony, for a second on Fernando Tatis Jr. Did have the double last night, struck out twice. You look at his numbers in the month of May, batting .203. What are you seeing from Fernando right now?
I'm seeing a guy that's just kind of going through the kind of ups and downs that happen at the big league level. He clearly is battling some timing issues, and has probably led to some other mechanical things that he's now doing. but this is kind of the ebb and flow. It would have been lovely for him to just continue the season as he did through, April. But we all know that, these streaks are likely to happen, these bad ones and good ones. And so he's going to keep working. He's going to swing his way through this. I have no doubt he'll get back to having better rhythm. I don't know that he gets back to the month of April that we saw, which was extremely good. But I think he gets back to somewhat near those levels. I just think it's just a matter of time before something clicks again, and we're off to watching Toddy do what he does.
And it's funny, as I was writing down the lineups today, I'm looking at the lineup card, and even after this rough stretch, Fernando is still hitting 289, which is pretty good. And Jackson Merrill, by the way, he has not swung the bat well either. As he hasn't swung the bat well lately either. That's what I'm trying to say. 337 with his batting average on the year. So shows you how good those guys were early on in the season. Tony, as always, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at the top of the hour. As always, thanks so much.
No problem, Sam.
All right, Tony Gwyn Jr. joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game. Padres going for another win in Atlanta. They enter today 28-21. Braves at 24-26. The Braves looking to avoid losing 4 in a row for the first time since they opened the season with 7 straight losses, a stretch that began with a 4-game sweep at the hands of the Padres. By the way, the Padres have played really well against the Braves as of late. Padres have now won 12 of their last 15 games against the Braves since April of 2023. That includes the 2 wins for the Padres in last year's National League Wild Card Series. So the Padres are 5-0 against the Braves this season. They've won the season series against Atlanta already. And as we know, those things can be important when we get towards the end of the year and you talk about wild card tiebreakers. We're certainly a long way from that on Memorial Day weekend, but worth noting, Padres are 5-0 against the Braves this year and have already won the season series. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We're expecting the Padres to make a move today, so we'll talk a little bit about that when we come back as well. We'll hear from AJ Preller. We'll hear from Gavin Sheets coming up a little bit later as well. Again, first pitch coming up at 1:10. We go out to Jesse and Tony at the top of the hour right at 1 p.m. You're tuned in to our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch coming up at 1:10 in Atlanta, middle game of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Braves. Remember, the Padres and Braves play tomorrow, and then the Padres are back home on Memorial Day to begin a series against the Miami Marlins. First pitch on Monday at Petco Park at 5:40 p.m. But first things first, Padres finishing up this 6-game road trip with a couple more games in Atlanta. Michael King on the mound today for the Padres. Grant Holmes on the mound for Atlanta. Before we hear from Mike Shildt, just so you know, Luis Campusano, this was Kevin Acee reporting earlier today on X. Kevin Acee, of course, the Padres beat reporter for the San Diego Union Tribune. And Kevin reporting, or Xing here, tweeting, whatever they call it now, that Luis Campusano will be active for today's game, and a corresponding move is to come for the Padres. Now, you'll hear in a second here towards the end of Mike Shildt's pregame media availability, you'll hear Mike acknowledge that Luis is in Atlanta with the team. Padres have not officially announced the move, and the reason that is interesting is because assuming Luis is going to be active for today's game, I can't imagine that he's there or not going to be active. It'll be interesting to see what the corresponding move is. If it's a catcher like Maldonado, I guess a catcher could hypothetically, I'm not reporting anything here, I'm just speculating, could go on the IL. Maybe that's the move. But somebody's got to come off the active 26-man roster for Campusano to be put on. So you start going through the list here, and some of the names that stand out, Hayward, Iglesias, Brandon Lockridge is in the lineup today, so it's not going to be him. We'll see. Could be something going on with one of the catchers. Again, it's going to be interesting to see what the corresponding move is for Campusano being activated. And again, Kevin Acee reporting that, and Mike Shildt acknowledging that Luis is with the team. You'll hear it in a second. So just keep an eye on that. We may have that corresponding move and that official transaction for you at some point here in our pregame coverage. So stay tuned for that. Also, just so you know, could be something with the catchers. I've not heard anything about either catcher injury-wise. Could be something as simple as that. We shall see what the official move is from the Padres coming up here in just a little bit. With all that in mind, let's hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Let's do it. Yeah, how good did it feel to have some high fives and some music in the clubhouse last night?
Yeah, man, we show up to shake hands every day, and we were able to do it yesterday. Felt good, vibes were good. Like a lot of heart last night. Talked about after the game, worth repeating. Nicky set the tone for better on the mound. I mean, just a warrior mentality, got after it. Kept us right in it. Corey Hone, unsung hero, came in. Picked up 5 big outs. Thought he was really filthy. Had a bit his part, and we turned over to Suarez, and defense made some plays and some big swings by Sheets and Manning.
Yeah, to your point, does it help? Does it make a difference, I guess, when you're breaking a streak like that it was a gutsy win like that as opposed to a blowout or a win to win at that point?
Win to win at that point, but I got to tell you, that's what it typically takes.
Yeah.
It just does. And, been in the game long enough and, have the good streaks. We know what that feels like. And but it's when things are tough. And the game it's got its own personality sometimes, and it's like the day before, you got to keep digging, you got to keep going. And the game almost tests you like, yeah, you did it, but it didn't work. Are you going to do it again? And the teams that do it again, after a while, just get rewarded. That's why we talk and play to look to be consistently on point with everything we do, because it's a constant thin margin game, and every little incremental thing matters.
Is it palpable today? Can you just feel like everyone's a little bit lighter?
Yeah, it feels like us. I mean, and I want to represent this too. I don't think it was frustrating for us. It was disappointing for us, and there were moments we, proved we were human. But I didn't feel like, and I like this a lot as well, I didn't feel like there was no, like, there was more frustration, but there was no, like, oh my gosh, with our group, because our group knows what we're capable of, and just a matter of the focus, which is, subhuman sometimes to get back to doing it the right way.
Michael King going for you today. He's just Mr. Consistent. How reaffirming is it to you just to know that you got a guy out there that's going to give you a solid outing, and does it help at all in terms of bullpen management knowing that you got a guy as consistent as Michael?
Yeah, it's nice to know you got a guy going into any game. Michael, it's important. Nicky's got that guy. Quite honestly, all our starters have been able to give us, an opportunity to compete. But with Michael, yeah, you got a guy that's got 3 to 4 elite pitches and has a real capability going out and going through 6-7 innings and setting us up for success at the end of the game with a bullpen that is getting a little bit of work.
What can you tell us about the move today?
I can tell you that Campy's going to be on the roster, and we got a corresponding move that'll be announced in another, here soon, obviously before the game.
What will Campy's role be? Same as last time?
Similar role. I mean, we love our catching. Diaz made as good a catching play that I've seen, and I've seen some pretty good ones. And so, I think we're thrilled about our catching situation. So those two will pretty much keep doing what they've been doing. It's Campy's bat that's been very productive, and we've looked to create some opportunities for him offensively there.
He's played like DH, he's caught, he's played first base. Any chances there? And you try to rotate some DH days?
He's going to get some work at first base. The DH is an open spot that he's going to occupy occasionally. And, as far as him being able to play first base, we haven't seen it. Always getting to work on it. It's an option. We do have Louis over there doing a nice job, and Sheetsy. So, we're going to explore the options.
Any news on Darvish? I think he made a rehab start Wednesday. Is there also some start?
No, nothing. We're going to, he's playing catch. He's working on the recovery aspect of it, but he's moving the arm forward, playing catch in San Diego, and we'll touch base with him in a couple of days.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt earlier today inside the Padres dugout. Again, we're awaiting the move. Luis Camposano, we expect to be active for today's game. We'll see what the corresponding move is, although I have very bad news to report. This just coming down from the Padres a moment ago. Right-hander Michael King has been scratched from today's start with right shoulder stiffness. Right-hander Sean Reynolds will be the starting pitcher. So this turns into a bullpen day for the Padres. Michael King, again, scratched from today's start with right shoulder stiffness. According to the Padres, Sean Reynolds will make the start, and this becomes now a bullpen day, I would assume, for the Padres. So that is certainly not good. Not good news, and you hope nothing serious for Michael King, and we'll have to wait for Mike Shildt's post-game press conference in all likelihood to hear an update on what the situation is with Michael King. So that's not news you want to hear on this Saturday, getting ready to enjoy a Michael King start. He's been terrific, a 2.59 ERA coming into this start. Very, very important starting pitcher for the Padres, and you hope that is just something that keeps him out for a start here a couple of days. Again, right shoulder stiffness, not what you want to hear. He has been scratched from today's start. So with that in mind, let's now tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
Let's begin with a look at the hot category. Luis Arise, a 9-game hitting streak snapped last night, went 0 for 3 with a sac bunt yesterday. Entering last night, Arise was hitting .358 in his prior 12 games. Gavin Sheets, also in the hot category. He's been great lately, 4 for 9 with 3 home runs and 6 RBIs. The not category, Fernando Tatis Jr., he did double last night, but struck out twice. Tatis is 1 for 12 with 7 strikeouts in his past 3 games, batting just .203 and 74 at-bats during the month of May. Jackson Merrill 0 for 4 last night after a 2-hit game on Thursday in Toronto. Merrill just 4 for 35 in his last 9 games. Jake Cronenworth struggling as well as of late, 1 hit in his last 17 at-bats with 6 strikeouts in that span. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for today's game coming up at 1:10. As I continue to now kind of process Michael King getting scratched from today's start, obviously something the Padres weren't anticipating. I don't know if it's something he felt, just moments before getting ready to warm up. I mean, we're now 35 minutes. What is it? 35 minutes from, well, not 35 minutes. We are, whatever it is. We're getting towards first pitch here at 1:10 p.m. I guess it is 35 minutes. Yeah. Another thing to consider, and I'll get into this a little bit later, Padres bullpen's a little short-handed today because some guys have pitched back-to-back days. So it's not a great day for this to now be a bullpen day. And again, the first thing that you're hoping for is that this is nothing serious with Michael King. My goodness, he is so important to this rotation. But also for today's game, this is not a great day for this to be a bullpen game. I'll get into that a little bit later, but a couple of guys I would assume would be unavailable for the Padres today. So we'll see how they now deal with this today. This certainly throws a twist into today's game and how you got to treat it and how today's game may go. Let's take you around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
We told you yesterday that Alex Bregman suffered a right quad strain in yesterday's doubleheader at Fenway Park, or at least they tried to play a doubleheader at Fenway Park yesterday, only got one of the games in. Well, it sounds today like Bregman is likely going on the IL, and Jeff Passan of ESPN reporting that the Red Sox are calling up infielder Marcelo Meyer, one of the top prospects in baseball. He is 22 years old, expected to be a really, really good player, truly one of the best prospects in the game right now. So the Red Sox calling him up, and sounds like the expectation is that Alex Bregman will go on the IL as the Red Sox now need infield help. Another guy going on the IL, the Orioles placing Ramon Laureano on the 10-day IL earlier today before that doubleheader against the Red Sox at Fenway Park. So the Orioles continue to deal with injuries and losses. Laureano on the IL with a left ankle injury. And that's a quick look at some of the headlines from today around Major League Baseball. Big news of the morning, Marcelo Meyer. I think it's Meyer, not Mayer. I'll have to double check on that. Getting called up by the Red Sox, so that's exciting at Fenway Park. When we come back, we'll give you our keys to the game. We'll hear from Gavin Sheets. We've got some news this morning. Michael King, just moments ago, scratched from today's start due to right shoulder stiffness. The Padres announcing that Sean Reynolds will start today's game, and now what becomes, I would assume, a bullpen game. First pitch coming up at 1:10 in Atlanta. Our pregame coverage continues after this on the Padres Radio Network.
Hey, San Diego.
Welcome back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, improving your family's water one tap at a time. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for the middle game of this 3-game set between the Padres and the Braves in Atlanta. We go out to Atlanta and we join Jesse Ackler and Tony Gwyn Jr. at the very top of the hour. First pitch coming up at 1:10. Let's give you the latest report on Michael King with our injury report.
Who's in, who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
So we told you in our last segment, Michael King scratched from today's start with right shoulder stiffness. Kevin Acey of the San Diego Union Tribune putting this out on X just moments ago. Kevin writing here, the word is that Michael King slept on his shoulder awkwardly. He was experiencing shoulder stiffness today. The Padres do not believe there is any long-term issue, but decided it was better if King did not start. So hopefully that is the case. Hopefully it's just, hey, we've all been there, right? Sleeping on something a little bit wrong. You wake up, your neck is all sore, your shoulder's sore. Hopefully that's all it is, that Michael King slept on his shoulder awkwardly and will not start today. And we'll see, presuming Michael King does make his next start here pretty soon. We'll see how that might adjust the Padres rotation. So fingers crossed that just sleeping awkwardly on the shoulder is all it is for Michael King today. Sean Reynolds will start today for the Padres in what becomes a bullpen game. Let's stay on Kevin's reporting here because he wrote this morning in the San Diego Union Tribune, writing about Yu Darvish. And I'll read pretty much verbatim here what Kevin wrote. Yu Darvish continues to play catch in San Diego, and there might be some clarity next week regarding his next step. Multiple sources have insisted over the past week that Darvish is not feeling pain in his right elbow, which is why he was shut down in spring training. They say there has not been a setback, but that the team cannot move forward with a plan until Darvish is comfortable. Again, Kevin writing here, the 38-year-old right-hander looks sharp and strong, throwing 51 pitches in 4 innings in his May 14th rehab start. That was at AAA El Paso, but he felt, quote-unquote, tight in his elbow afterward and does not feel ready to pitch in a major league game. Mostly, he is not confident he would recover well enough to make repeated starts, and he does not want to compromise the Padres' rotation. Kevin continuing, Darvish is expected to be examined in the coming days to affirm his elbow is structurally sound. So that was the latest this morning on Yu Darvish. We'll see what the updates are in the days to come, but based on that, doesn't sound like Darvish is going to make a start here in the very, very, very near future in the major leagues. We'll see kind of what the deal is with Yu Darvish here moving forward. Again, kind of sounded in the last week like he was going to pitch at some point on this road trip. We learned earlier in the week that probably wasn't going to happen, and now we'll see what the next steps are for Yu Darvish as he continues to try to make his way back from this initial elbow issue that he started suffering in spring training. So, update on King, update on Darvish, and that's a look at today's injury report. Well, Gavin Sheets joined 97.3 The Fan yesterday on the Gwynn and Chris program. Sheets has been swinging the bat so well. 2 home runs on Thursday in Toronto, a home run yesterday. Here was Gavin Sheets talking about his ability to go down in the strike zone to get pitches for home runs like he did in Toronto.
Absolutely, and it's funny because it's kind of the opposite. You know, I've stood up taller so that I can get to that pitch better, so that I can get my legs more and be athletic and kind of make that forward move. Because before, when I thought that I had to crouch down more, bend down on my legs more, where actually it was kind of the opposite. I had to get there easier. So by standing up, it's helped me get to that lower pitch, which from early in spring training was one of the biggest focuses for us. I'd always handled the pitch up well, but how can I get to that pitch down, the off speed down? And that was the move we made.
Well, the Padres did win yesterday. They scored 2 runs. It was not really an offensive eruption for the Padres. And again, this was Gavin Sheets talking before yesterday's game here on 97.3 The Fan. Here was Gavin on the team's mentality at the plate right now.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is, you just trust the talent in the room. We got way too much talent to panic, especially this early. Obviously, the season's a long season, and we've had skits where rattle off 8 in a row wins. And, obviously we're going through a skid right now, but, throughout a long season, you're going to go through these. And the biggest thing is just try to minimize it and get back to playing baseball that we know we can play. I thought yesterday was a great start. Obviously, runners in score position, we wanted to get that off our back. And, we had some good at-bats yesterday with that. But I just feel like the more you think about it and reflect on it, the harder it is. But, too much talent here to worry about that.
And here was Gavin Sheets on what continues to go so well for him at the plate.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is having confidence in what we're doing in my swing. I'm not tinkering on a day-to-day basis, which I think is huge at the big league level. It's hard enough to compete and battle against these pitchers every single day, but when you're fighting against yourself in your swing, it makes it even harder. So I think that's been the biggest difference for me this year is just going and being confident. And obviously you're going to hit your skids where you go offers, and it's just baseball. Slumps are slumps, but to be confident in your swing and not have to change anything or feel like you need to change anything, I feel like is the biggest difference for me this year.
That was Gavin Sheets yesterday on the Gwynn and Chris program here on 97.3 The Fan. Sheets back in the lineup today, batting sixth and DHing for the Padres. Sheets has been so good as of late. 3 home runs over the course of the last 2 days. Now a team-leading 29 RBIs on the season for Gavin Sheets. If you want to hear that full conversation from yesterday, you can go back and listen to it on the free Odyssey app. You can certainly go back on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel or on the Gwynn and Chris On Demand podcast channel, available wherever you find your podcasts. First pitch coming up at 1:10 in Atlanta. Let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by El Centro Motors Ford. Meet your new Ford General Manager, Greg Ryan, now at El Centro Motors Ford, your new Ford truck, Bronco, and SUV HQ. Call Greg directly at 619-944-0774.
Well, with the news that Michael King is scratched from today's start due to shoulder stiffness in his right shoulder, key number 1 becomes even more important. Key number 1. Hey, offense, I'm still looking at you. You got to produce more and more and more. Yeah, the Padres found a way to win yesterday. However, it's not like they had some kind of offensive eruption. They just had 2 solo home runs. Padres have only scored 11 runs combined in their last 7 games. And altogether, the Padres are 2 for 43 with runners in scoring position in the last 7 games. And just simply, it has to be better. They're hitting just .201 as a team in the last 7 games with a .569 OPS and a .240 on-base percentage. So especially today, with the Padres having to throw a bullpen game now, wouldn't a nice crooked number on the scoreboard be a big help? Offense, you got to step up today now. It's key number 1. Key number 2, Matt Olson was 0 for 4 yesterday with a couple of strikeouts, and the Padres have to do something like that again here today. He still has 4 home runs and 7 RBIs in his last 6 games, batting .440 in that span with a .1040 slugging percentage in that span, or 1040 slugging percentage in that span. And key number 3, Ozzie Albies, in the midst of a 9-game hitting streak, batting .314 in that span with a couple of doubles and 5 runs scored. Do a good job against Olson and Albies in that lineup today, and you can throw Acuna in there as well after what he did yesterday with the home run early on. That's a look at our keys to today's game. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a doubleheader today at Fenway Park between the Orioles and the Red Sox. They're tied at 5 at Fenway in game 1 of that twin billing in the 7th inning. Game 2 coming up later. Royals lead the Twins 4-3 in Minnesota. In the 6th inning, Diamondbacks and Cardinals tied at 1 in the 7th inning in St. Louis. Everything else coming up later. Brewers at the Pirates, Giants at the Nationals, Cubs at the Reds, Mariners in Houston against the Astros, Rangers in Chicago against the White Sox, Yankees in Denver against the Rockies. Rockies won yesterday, beat the Yanks. Blue Jays in Tampa Bay against the Rays, Guardians in Detroit, Dodgers in New York against the Mets, Phillies in Sacramento against the A's, and the Marlins in Anaheim against the Angels. Much more on those games coming up in our post-game coverage. When we come back, we'll tell you about that move the Padres had to make today regarding Luis Campusano. We'll get into that when we come back. We'll also tell you what to watch for in today's game and a breakdown of our new pitching matchup on the starting side between Sean Reynolds and, of course, right-hander Grant Holmes on the mound for Atlanta. First pitch at 1:10 on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Padres officially making the move to recall Luis Campusano to the Major League roster. That is official now. The Padres placing Jason Hayward on the 10-day IL with a left oblique strain. So that is the corresponding move. Campusano available off the bench today, and Hayward goes on the 10-day IL. Let's tell you what to watch for in today's game in Atlanta.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For, presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game? Well, right now it becomes simple. Michael King scratched from his start today with right shoulder stiffness. So how do the Padres piece this together today out of their bullpen? Sean Reynolds will start. And oh, by the way, Robert Suarez has thrown 35 pitches in the last 2 days. He's pitched back-to-back days. So is Jason Adam. So this is not exactly a fresh bullpen today. That's what to watch for in today's game. How do the Padres now navigate a bullpen game when they don't have a particularly fresh bullpen? We'll see how they do it today. Going to be very, very interesting. Unfortunate, Michael King scratched due to that shoulder stiffness. Again, Kevin Acee reporting earlier that apparently he just slept on it awkwardly. Fingers crossed that's all it is for Michael King. Speaking of pitching, let's take a deeper dive into Sean Reynolds and Atlanta starter Grant Holmes.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview. on the Padres Radio Network.
Let's begin with a look at Braves starter right-hander Grant Holmes, 29 years old in 2025, 2-3, a 4.01 ERA in 9 starts, 51 2/3 innings. He struck out 49, walked 25, allowed 10 home runs. Made a relief appearance against the Padres on opening day through a scoreless inning. Only time he's ever faced San Diego. Last start, 6 innings, 2 runs given up against the Red Sox at Fenway Park. He walked 4 in that start. Walks have been a real issue for Holmes. He's allowed the 4th most free passes among National League pitchers. The splits for Holmes, lefties batting just 190 against them this season. That's tied for the 4th lowest opponent batting average among NL pitchers as far as left-handers. Righties batting just 202 against him. On the mound now for the Padres in a starting capacity, right-hander Sean Reynolds. Reynolds comes in a 6.43 ERA in 5 appearances out of the bullpen so far, although his last 3 appearances have been really, really good. 2 2/3 scoreless innings, an inning and 2/3 scoreless, a scoreless inning in the series in Toronto. So you put that together, 5 1/3 scoreless innings for Sean Reynolds in his last 3 relief appearances. So that's good. Hopefully he can give the Padres a little length and be effective. He's been good as of late. And that's a look at our new starting pitching matchup between Sean Reynolds and Grant Holmes. As always, thank you for listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. When we come back, we go to Atlanta. It's Jesse Agler and Tony Gwyn Jr. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network.
Tony Gwyn Jr. here. Upgrade your outdoor living space with TimberTech.